What is up, YouTube? So today we do have a deck profile for you today, but before we get into that, I want to make a couple of announcements for you guys. One, really appreciate the support. You guys are subscribing, viewing the content, and really enjoy making this stuff for you guys. And second, now you guys see all the new banners and like the new chibi profile picture. I want to say thank you and shout out to the editor for making the banner. And shout out to my homegirl Rainy. I'll link a description in the description for Instagram for you guys to check out her page and her art. So let's get into it. Alrighty, now we're gonna jump into our deck profile for today. It is Justin's Gear Chronicle deck, and with that being said, he would like to go into some insights on the deck and his way of running the deck. So we'll just go ahead and jump into it. Alrighty, Justin, go on ahead for me.
Alright, so your Chronicle, you gotta start off with your Forerunner, Primordial Draco Kit. It's typical skill. You just on-ride on him, and then you get to draw one card. Then, trigger lineup, I'm gonna be running the typical 8 crit, 4 draw, and then a 4 heal, because like this is gonna have some meaning to the deck. But typically most Force decks would run 8 crit, 4 draw. But then I'm gonna explain why I specifically like choosing this over like certain trigger lineups. Okay. So that's what we have for triggers. Next, I run 2 Steam Skara Kalen. His skill is when he boosts a unit. At the end of the battle, your opponent cannot intercept and can call up to 3 guardians, and at the end of the battle, you bind the unit. So the reason why I like running this card is because it gives an option to one of my attacking units to stop, stopping potentially 2 intercepts, right? Yeah. And usually when I back it up against something that's pretty big enough for the 2 intercepts to not even work at all, having the option to make them call up to 3 guardians only is very restrictive, because either they want to say that I stack like 3 force markers on the rear guard, right, and then he uses to boost. Typically they would just PG or would try to guard, but then the added benefit of this card is I only limit them to 3. So then typically it's kind of like this. I make this card to where I want it to force my opponent to use a PG, so then there's less cards for typically just less cards for them to guard with, next, maybe the next time I attack they won't have the PG anymore because I made them use it last turn. And also this card also binds itself, so then that's a potential not really potential, more like it helps fuel the engine for most of your the grade 4s in the main deck, because they require using because Gear Chronicles, if you don't know, utilize the bind zone great added values. So if you have 3 and a 2, that's already 8. So that's why I like running 2 of this. Next we run 4 Quickie Worker. Now the reason why I run as F4 is because it's one of your best cards in the deck that can give you either a potential draw or send a card back from your drop zone to your deck. So typically when you would use this card, when you would utilize it, you would send a trigger and then do your grade 4, because what that will happen is when you send you just send like a heal or a crit. Then when you do the card I'll show you later on, skill to go to a from grade 3 to grade 4, you shuffle the deck. So potentially whatever trigger you sent back is it can be drove checked through the trigger. Now the other cool thing about this card is if you were to send a grade 3 or greater back to the deck, you get to Soul Blast 2 and draw. So the thing about this card is I run at 4 because, one, I either really need a trigger to be in the deck so I can maybe potentially kill someone, or I really need the heal. And if I say that I'm low on grade 4s, I would use this card to send the 4 back, so at least I know I can guarantee I can go into my grade 4 when I use the upcoming card skill later on in this video to just go into it and not be worried about, oh, do I have the 4 in my deck. So then I run 4 Quickie Worker. I still don't know about this card, but it's my only other good option is I run 4 Steam Fighter Mimi. So Mimi's effect is when your Vanguard is placed, you get to draw 1 card, and you get to discard a card from your hand. Now, if that card were to be a grade 3 or greater, 3 of your units get +5. So typically, well, the reason why I was running that 4 is because the deck can be very inconsistent. It's like more inconsistent than like me trying to make oatmeal. Okay, so like. Typically what I would do is say like, you know, I'm not seeing my grade 3s, or if I maybe want to just ride the grade 4 I want, or you know, the pieces I really need. Mimi's there to help, because then every time like, you know, you would like ride, you pocket off, just draw 1, discard 1, because if you really like, I don't care if I don't care what cards I have to discard, as long as I really need to get my pieces to get my engine going, you know, because you know, consistency is like in this deck is it's pretty bad, because the fact that, you know, most, you know, like some builds run more 4, some builds only run certain amount of 4s, you know, and then it's just this deck really needs an engine to where you can receive your pieces. So Mimi at 4. So, and then the usefulness is if you call it out early, say you're at you ride a grade 1, draw, see you don't have a piece out, then but you still have a grade 2 in your hand, so you would call this the rear guard and say you're going first, and then end your turn. Their turn, when it goes back to you, draw 1 card, ride into your grade 2. Then it's like, okay, maybe Mimi might give me the skill. So when you ride the grade 2, you proc her skill out, draw 1 card, and then you say, oh, there's my grade 3. Okay, I can just ditch this card. I'm good now. I'm set. So that's why I run for Mimi. Also, the skill can help you discard a grade 3 or greater. Get 3 units +5, and some cards in the deck bind from drop zone, so they kind of combo off each other when you use this card. Then, you know, for Strike Fighter, they're not really strike. They're not really Strike Fighter, but you know, his first. But the cool thing about this card is I really want to see him first, because he starts off your engine, because his first skill is on Vanguard. Well, when his attack hits, you bind 1 card from your hand and you get to draw 1 card. So that's pretty good to get your engine off, because like I said, the grade 4s require you to have a certain amount of the grades added from your bind zone from your cards to proc off like multiple effects, so then you know you could get your thing on. His second skill is continuous, just like a typical G era Strike Fighter. When you ditch him for a cost, he gets he's regarded as a 3, so that's pretty good.
Look at that, guys. Your Chronicle got another stride assist.
Kinda. So I run 4 Steam Hunter. Lipit skill is just when she's on place, you get to bind a card in a drop zone, gets +3000 power. Obviously, huh?
You said 3. You said 4, right?
Oh, I said 3.
Oh, it's 3.
I don't know. We'll just see what the video says. So then I run 3 of her. I don't run 4 because, you know, like sometimes there's usually like sometimes I might not have a target to always bind from the drop zone. But you know, she's pretty good because she's basically just there to help the bind engine going on. So it's self-explanatory. It just gets +3 and helps out me getting cards from my own drop zone to the bind zone. Next, we're running one of the cooler cards of the deck. Is 4 Steam Mechanic Nabu. Now Nabu's skill is when rearguard, when it attacks Vanguard, I can bind a unit from my drop zone, and then my opponent cannot guard with grade 1 or greater cards for that battle. It's pretty cool, you know, little cool guard restrict, only forcing my opponent to use triggers to guard this, and probably a draw trigger PG. And after the battle, Nabu goes in soul and I can draw 1 card. So it's a neutral if you like for that. Just just go like, oh, just don't worry about negating cards from your hand if you call Nabu, because Nabu will just replenish itself by making a neutral. Because you know, -1 card, go in soul, draw 1 card. That's neutral. Okay. Also, the other skill is, you know, the cost is just a bind a card from drop zone, so it helps out the engine of the deck, just for the deck, just for the grade 4. So you know, Nabu's like staple at 4. Next we run 4 Lost Break Dragon. You know, first skill, Vanguard, Rearguard. When placed, I get to bind a card from my hand, you know, and just like draw 1 card. It's like the grade 1, but it doesn't have to hit. I just place, bind, then just draw 1 card. It's pretty good. The second skill is if there's a face-up card in your bind zone, obviously, when you use any of your skills that bind a card, on Rearguard he gets +3000 power. So on Force Marker he can be a 23 by himself. 2 Force Markers, that's a 33. That's pretty good. So I'm gonna go to the only threes I run in the deck, which is for Lost Legend. Lost Legend has the force marker. It's pretty good. The cool thing about Lost Legend is typically when you play the deck, having the one is fine, because you really don't need to see multiple, because his skill is you get to discard cards from your hand equal to grades of 3. It's like typical back in the day GRS striking, and you get to get a grade 4 from your deck and right on top of him. And then at the end of the turn, you get to retire the grade 4 and then rewrite him at rest. Now the reason why I say you don't need to see multiple of these guys is because his own skill adds another force marker on your turn. So if you go first, you ride force marker, then you do your skill. Then at the end of the turn, you rewrite at rest from the soul, and then you get to get another force marker. So that's 2 force markers for that one turn. Also be careful, because if you accidentally do soul blast Lost Legend for like one of your skills, for example the grade 1 that soul blast 2 and draw, you actually will lose the game, because by ruling you cannot write Lost Legend from soul, and then you just lose because you have no target. So it's kind of like the exculpate ruling, but like it's different. And then his on stride effect is you get to counterblast 2 and you get to draw 1 card. So that's pretty good. The deck doesn't, if you can tell by now, doesn't run a lot of counterblasts. So this is typically like the only thing you can do with your counterblast, and it's pretty good. Just draw 2 counterblast 2, draw 1 card, and it's pretty good. So I ran 4 of that. So one more thing. What's cool about this card is typically in GRI you would have to wait for your opponent to be at 3, or you can to be at 3 for an extra turn. But you can actually go into because if you just read the card, you can actually just go onto a 4 on your opponent while they're at grade 2 or something. If you're assuming you're going first and you have your everything established. So people might irk me on this, because everyone likes the extra turn and they run 4s, but I only run 4 grade 4s in this deck for consistency, and I run 4 Mystery Flare. Now people might give me criticism for not running more 4s, but like my reasoning is the deck is already inconsistent enough, and then I don't want to make it to where I don't want to keep it's really hard to explain. It's like I want to keep the deck as consistent as possible. So the way when I play my deck is I revolve it around Mystery Flare. So then typically when I would go use the grade 1 to I was always prioritized to send this back. And the fact that his skills is when he's placed on the Vanguard, he procs out multiple skills depending on the number of the grades added from your bind zone. So 3 or more, he gets +1 drive. 7 or more, he gets +1 crit. 13 or more, he basically becomes a pseudo Soul Saver Dragon. And then the last skill, 19 or more, you discard your entire hand and you get an extra turn, which is pretty devastating. But seeing how the deck can put multiple force markers out pretty easily, I prioritize this card more as a really scary soul saver rather than just extra turn. So this is how I don't see this as I really want to go into extra turn. I understand why people want to do that, because usually it would kill maybe or something, but just I prioritize this. So in trading for more grade 4s, I treat this as I'm gonna play a soul saver on you with an extra crit, and that's it's pretty scary to me. It doesn't win all the time, but I can pretty this deck can last pretty long games against Billy, Himiko and stuff, as long as they have the hand for it. Because this deck can generate hand. Don't trust me, the triple drive actually and a +1 draw from Lost Legend and the grade 1 and how you utilize the deck can get you a sizable hand for a force deck. So I run 4. But if I were to run, I say more grade 4s. The limit I would go extra is 2. So the 2 cards I would run, or else I would take out the grade 1 where I would Soul Blast. So I would put these 2. If I were to really go for the extra turn, I would take out Caitlyn. So I would put these in. So yeah, that's pretty much the deck. I would just say this is a cool, flashy way of having like a really cool Soul Saver play. The deck can, you know, -1 from deck usually when you typically go into a 4, and then you can, this deck can proc off triggers a lot if you like once you keep using, you know, like your mystery flares, and because the triple drive actually is pretty scary, because, you know, in standard you typically cards can only like twin drive per turn, but then this one's like, oh, just triple drive. Oh, and gets a crit. Oh, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and extra turn. So, yeah, so that's my deck. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, Justin. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty huge, you know. Like, I've seen a lot of profiles with the 6, but, you know, you go focusing on mystery flares is a really good way of going for the deck. So,
Yeah.
with that, guys, thank you guys for watching this video. If you like it, please do like, comment, and subscribe. All right.